Hello and welcome to your whole body yin practice. Today I've got with me two fluffy-ish pillows. These ones came right from my couch. This one back here also came from my couch. It's going to serve as my long rectangular pillow today. It's just decorative, it's just fluffy. It does have some structure to it from time to time. I can reinforce that with a blanket, so it's a good option for underneath of the spine and underneath of the legs. This is always my favorite style of pillow to practice with if you don't have anything at all. It's quite versatile being long. You could use a couch cushion, you could use a pillow that you sleep with, you could use a rolled up towel reinforced with another rolled up blanket, foam roller with lots of cushioning around it, like a blanket wrapped around it, all sorts of things. So it is my most common prop. And then I have a blanket here. So let's begin in a seated position. And for the seated position, I want to encourage you to sit on a folded up blanket so that it's got a few inches of thickness here. So as we come to sit on this folded blanket, you're welcome to have a wall or a couch or anything of that sort behind you. But come to sit on this blanket and then find your sitting bones. So it's these bony bits right underneath of your tush. So your sitting bones. And we're gonna roll those sitting bones just off of the blanket so that it's just your flesh that keeps you up. Good. And then if you're leaning against something, you can feel free to lean your shoulders against the wall or the couch. If you'd like to tuck one foot in and then the other, you can. Or whatever else you'd like to do with your legs if you have a different position that's comfortable for you. We're looking for a stack in our spine, so shoulders over hips. You might even feel the shoulder blades lean against the wall if you're using a wall behind you. And this encourages an opening in the shoulders. Gently begin to tilt the chin slightly down and then back, finding length in the spine. If you like, you can join me in closing down your eyes, or if you prefer, you can keep them open. Just soften the gaze. Maybe think about softening the eyebrows, eyelids, and all the other muscles around the eyes, and fix the gaze. If you're having a hard time settling into the shape, you might take a few shoulder rolls to let go of some restless energy. You're rolling the shoulders up, back, and down until you find some stillness. Perhaps joining me with a full breath in. Hold it, sip in a little more air, a little bit more. Big exhale, let it go. Just a friendly reminder that this is your body, your practice, your experience. So feel free to modify this practice to serve your body today. Add in postures, breath work, anything that you know that feels good for you, and take out anything that isn't feeling good today. What feels good today is and can always be different than yesterday or any of your other practices. So let's approach our body and our practice with curiosity, getting to know what's happening right now. Perhaps tuning into your physical body, noticing areas in the physical body that feel tight, tense, or sore. Can you also notice areas in your body that feel relaxed or open? Perhaps taking a moment to notice your breath. Noticing the flow of your breath, the unique rhythm that it has today. Now we'll begin to lengthen the breath. Just softly breathing in deeply into the belly, the rib cage and the chest. And breathing out, chest, ribs, belly. Breathing in. And slowly, softly breathing out. Continuing just like this. And if you're ready for your first shape, I'd like to invite you into either a dangling pose or a caterpillar. You can slowly invite some movement into the body. Maybe coming onto one foot, pressing up onto your hands, and then into the other for a dangling pose. I'm going to do this shape 2 times. I'm going to get my timer ready. The first, let's deeply, deeply bend the knees. Deeply bend the knees. And then bring the tops of the hands against the floor if they reach. This just keeps any weight out of your hands. You might shake your head yes and no. Just to release the tension from the neck and head. The deep bend in the knees is to give us a nice rounding in the low back. You might even feel your chest or your belly compress against your thighs. See if you can breathe in deeply and feel your belly expand against the thighs. And then for the second minute, we'll straighten the legs just a little bit. Well, we'll straighten the legs a lot, looking for more sensation in the backs of the thighs, the backs of the calves, maybe even behind the knee joint. To get more sensation there, you might lean a little further into the toes. If you do have a wall nearby, a really wonderful modification is to lean your upper back, your kind of space in between your shoulder blades and the back of your head against a wall. And that way you can lean into the wall and feel no effort or minimal effort in the legs. Find your breath. And then you can come onto the fingertips, bend the knees, walking the hands forward and dropping the knees to the ground. Let's just pause here in an all fours position for a moment. Catch your breath. Maybe allow the blood flow in the head to return to normal. And curl all 10 toes underneath of you for a toe squat. These are quite active yin postures. You want to make sure that your baby toe is tucked under. And then you can walk the hands back towards you. You might choose to keep the hands on the floor, or you might choose to bring your head and shoulders right up over top of your hips. Another way that you can decrease the sensation is by bringing a pillow or blanket underneath of the knees. We'll be here together for about 2 minutes. Over the next 2 minutes, can you start to soften the jaw, the shoulders, the hands? Can you soften your belly, your core? And focus on the breath. We're halfway. Know that it is common for sensation to lessen and for sensation to build. So if sensation has built and you've passed your edge, or you're feeling any pain, you might think about coming a little bit out of the shape. Pain can be categorized as sharpness, tingling, numbness, burning, or aching sensations. In our yin shapes, we want to stay in a range of sensation that is a 4 to 6, maybe a 7, maybe the occasional pose will be an 8, but really in that 4 to 6, 7 range. On the scale, 10 is the most sensation you've ever felt, and 1 is little to none. So really in that mid range. Sometimes it's called the Goldilocks location. Not too much, not too little, but just right. Coming out of this shape, walking your hands forward, you might even paddle out your feet against the floor or just scrunch your toes together a few times. I know some students really like to create some circles in the ankles to release any tension that built in the ankles. Let's scoot our feet to one side, come onto one hip, and then bring the feet out in front of us. So right along the same idea as working with the toes, we're going to work with the toes again here in butterfly. So first coming into butterfly, guiding the soles of the feet together and for your knees to open up wide. I often like to find the place where my legs hang and then give them a bit of support. So I might bring the pillow under one side and then bring the blanket under the other. Under kind of the thigh and a little bit under the knee. From here, let's work with the toes. So in traditional Chinese medicine, there are 12 main meridian lines. And each meridian is named after the organ it predominantly affects. And the idea is that when the meridians are open, that qi flows freely and healthily through those meridian lines, and then the organs are healthy. So we're going to work with the bottom 6 meridians. Let's grab the toes and zipper them together. So kind of like how we would interlace the fingers, we're going to encourage the toes to interlace. Now, I certainly can't do this without manually doing it with my hands. So you can use your hands to interlace your toes. Good. So we've affected these meridians in a toe squat, and now we're going to create a bit of sensation in the toes again through this zipper. If they unravel a little bit, that's okay, no worries. It can just be a fun activity as well, and to make sure that we still have some control with our toes. Once you've got your zipper toes together, you might rest your hands somewhere comfortably. My thumbs like to rest on the arches of my feet. And then we can breathe in, find nice and length through the spine, hinge at the hips, and fold forward. Finding our edge of sensation, so that place that we're in that 4 to 6 range. You want to go to the place where your body just naturally stops. So as you fold over, you feel that you could go further with a bit more effort. But there's a place where your body naturally stops. And it's usually somewhere in that 4 to 6 range. This place of a natural stopping point is commonly referred to as your edge. Here, see if you can relax your neck and head. Can you allow your legs to be heavy? To notice any tension in the body. And allow yourself to soften. You might focus on breathing into your belly, your rib cage, and your chest. Breathing out, chest, ribs, belly. And with each breath, allowing your head and shoulders, your knees to become a little heavier, and a little heavier. Breathing in belly, ribs, chest. Breathing out chest, ribs, belly. Final breath. Bring your hands onto the mat, feeling the texture of the mat beneath your hands, and moving 10% slower than what you want to. Slowly begin to stack your lower spine, and one vertebrae at a time, rolling up. The head will be the last up. And guiding the hands to the outsides of the thighs, using your hands to bring the feet flat on the floor, maybe even guiding the hands behind you. You can allow the knees to windshield wiper from side to side. Just noticing the lingering effects of that shape, the sensations that you have in the inner and outer leg lines. You might even want to roll the shoulders back and down, guide the fingers to face the body, and lift the chest, the gaze. Some people enjoy reverse tabletop here. Breathing in. And breathing out. For our next shape, we are going to use all of the suggested props. So I'm going to use a pillow and blanket together. If you have a bolster, maybe you'll just use a bolster. If you have blocks, you might use that and another bolster instead of these pillows, but I've just got pillows today. So I'm going to bring those to the top of my mat and the pillow and blanket beside me towards the upper half of my mat. Entering this shape today from a low lunge position. So I'm going to walk my hands over to the right so that I've got space for my left leg to swing wide and forward. So my left foot is at the front of the mat, and then I'll guide my hands onto the pillows and allow myself to come forward. My knee is roughly over the ankle here. And I've got space to let my hips melt forward. So find that space where your hips are melting forward, and then guide the bolster and blanket right underneath of that space. So they're there for us to lower down onto. So now walk the hands over to the right, okay? And walk your left foot over to the right, and then back a little bit close to your bolster. Keep your foot flexed. This is really important for stabilizing your knee. Guide your hands on either side of the front corners of your mat and lower down onto your left hip, and then your left knee will follow. This brings you right up onto your bolsters or your pillow and blanket combo, and then you can extend your back leg behind. Since we're doing a flow for the whole body, some of these postures are for two parts of the body at the same time. So that makes it a bit more tricky to find the sensation that we're looking for. So we're looking for a tensile sensation in your left glute. You might also feel some compression in the front of your left hip flexor when you fold down. And then we're looking for some extension here on the right side. So you'll feel that extension more so when you lift upright. You'll feel a little bit opening here. So we're going to take this position, it's called swan, first upright for 1 minute and then fold it over for 2 minutes. And your back leg is extended behind you. So take out the timer. I'll start it for 1 minute. We'll stay upright here. You may also feel in this upright position a tiny bit of compression in the low back. These are all normal and common areas of sensation. And can you find your breath here? Breathing into belly, ribs, chest. Breathing out chest, ribs, belly. When you're ready, you can fold over your pillows or your blocks or your bolster, whatever you may have in front of you here. Of course, if you don't have anything, that's fine as well. You can lower down here without anything at all. I like to lower down to a place where I can rest. I often like to stack my hands on top of one another so that I can rest my forehead on my hands. I encourage you to wiggle a little bit. Find a place of comfort for you. And then resolve to be still. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't move. Remember, it's a good thing to move if you have any pain. And it's also okay to move if you've lost the sensation and you're searching for your new edge. Other than that, you might get curious with yourself. Why do I want to move? Why do I want to check the clock or drink the water or adjust my clothing? Get really, really curious about where the urge is coming from, why it's there. Resolving to be still encourages us to study ourselves. Taking a final breath. And slowly coming up onto your hands. Moving much slower than what you want to. Leaning over onto your left hip so you can scoot away the pillows for a moment. And then coming into a tabletop position. Here in tabletop, you can take a variety of movements, whatever is calling to you, whatever would feel good here. So you can move the hips, extending your left leg or your right. Maybe even some cat-cows. And then we'll set up for the other side. So walking your hands over to the left. And then giving yourself space to step that right foot wide and forward. And then you can walk that right foot over to the left side of the mat and down towards your pillow and blanket combo. From here, flex your foot. Use your hands to slowly lower the hip onto the floor, the right hip, and then you can softly allow the knee to settle down. Now you can soften your ankle once your hip is anchored. Take a few moments to wiggle into position. What felt good on the other side may still feel good here, or maybe something else does. Get curious about the shape. And then offer yourself a position where you feel that you found that just right sensation. Not too much, not too little. Taking a final breath in this upright position. And then we'll lower down onto the pillows, bolster, or blocks, whatever it is that you're using today. And your body might have a very similar depth on this side, or it might be a little different. I'm noticing that in my body today, it doesn't want to go as low as it did on the left side. And that's okay. It's quite common actually for our body to have these sorts of imbalances. Often these imbalances occur because we are dominant with one side or another, or we have habits that create this imbalance. Like you always walk up the stairs starting with the same foot, or you get in and out of a vehicle on the driver's side always with the right leg stepping in first. These imbalances are normal and common. So it's okay to honor your body and the imbalances that it may have. Finding your breath. And with each exhale, letting go just that little bit more. If you're watching the recording of this class, you may be able to hear the bells in the background. In the town where I live, the bells go off every hour, a lot, and then a few dings every half an hour. Take your final breath. And very slowly, very mindfully, bring your hands onto the floor. Leaning over to your right hip. Maybe removing some of the pillows and stuff out from behind you. And then coming on to a hands and knees position. Oof. It's here where you can take some natural and intuitive movement. Whatever is going to feel good for you in your body. Our next shape can require quite a bit of setup. It's saddle or hero's pose. Now, if you have a very strong arc in your ankle that doesn't quite flatten all the way down, you might think about taking your mat and rolling it up several times or a few times to create a bit of a crease to accommodate that arch so that it follows the natural arch and you support that natural arch. Okay. For my body, my knees do not like when I sit in between my heels. That's too much flexion for my body. And so I often end up sitting with my heels just outside of my sit bones. Some people enjoy their heels being inside their sit bones and their knees being a little bit wider. It's entirely up to you and what feels good for you. But when you recline, it's normal for your hips to sink down towards the ground. So even if they're not right now, you might think about sitting on a block or a cushion. I'm going to unravel that and just come forward. So I'm going to come to sit on a pillow today. And then I'm going to bring this other pillow behind me. You might stack one or several blocks and then bring the bolster onto an angle here. Now this creates a bit of a ramp. This is a very low ramp I know that it works for my body, but know that when I teach a public class, it does not work for most bodies. So it's very common to actually take this pillow and lean it against the wall so that you're very, very upright. You're almost as upright as I am right now, maybe even leaned back a little bit like so, but supported. We want to give ourselves the support here. So, coming onto your hands once you have found your position with your bolster. And then slowly lowering back to a place where your body naturally asks you to stop. It can be nice as well before you lower down to lift your hips, squeeze your glutes to press your hips forward, and then lower your hips back down. That can take out some of the compression feeling in the low back and intensify the opening in the front of the legs. And then you can lower down onto your forearms, maybe all the way down first. We'll be here for about 3 minutes. 3 minutes. So really asking yourself, do I have any pain? If you do, come out, because 3 minutes is a very long time. Readjust your shape and then slowly lower in. Sometimes I hear students tell me things like, oh, well, I had pain, but I didn't adjust it because I want my body to be able to do this. And sometimes that's the simplest adjustment. It's not that your body can't do the shape or won't be able to one day. It's that you maybe are just pinching a nerve or cutting off blood flow. And so your body is asking you to readjust. It might be a little extra support on your hips, maybe lifting up a little higher, just so that it can start to soften and let go. When the body is supported, it knows that it can safely let go of muscular tension. And we can have some of this stress affect our joints. In some of our joints, this creates a little bit of lubrication. In some of our joints, this is a strengthening activity. Let's take a big breath in together. And a big breath out. Perhaps bring your hands onto the floor. Maybe blinking open your eyes if they were closed. And then extra slow, prepare to roll up. Coming onto the forearms And then the hands, then slowly all the way back up to a kneeling position. And just pausing here with a neutral spine. Taking a full breath in. And a full breath out. We've got a yawn. All right. Next, we'll be making our way onto our backs. If you have a wall, you might choose to do a wall pose here. Our next shape will be a happy baby, and then our legs up the wall. Now, if you don't have a wall, it's all good, no stress. There are certainly ways to do this without the wall. In fact, I will demonstrate the shape without the wall shapes. So bring your props to the sides. And slowly, slowly, slowly make your way down onto your back. Now on your back, invite your knees into your chest. Happy baby is really great as a counterpose to a lot of shapes we've been doing. Guiding the knees in after that big hero's pose. It can be nice to even massage the low back. We'll just take a quick, brief happy baby in 1 minute. Now, if you are choosing to do this against the wall, you'll actually keep your feet flat against the wall like so. So it's a variation on happy baby. If you're doing the classic happy baby, your knees will come just outside of the body towards the armpits and the feet up towards the ceiling. I like to grab the outer edges of my feet and pull them down. Some people like to grab the insides. It's totally up to you. Now it's normal and common to feel the low back around, maybe even lift off the mat. That's okay. Now for our legs up the wall. You might simply extend your legs up towards the ceiling and lean your heels against the wall. If you would like some of the benefits of an inversion, or if you don't have a wall, it can be easiest to do this with a prop or two underneath of your sacrum and your glutes. See, your sacrum is that flat spot just below your low back. And when we lift this area, it can be helpful in lifting the legs and letting that lift of the legs be fairly effortless. You should be able to soften your core and soften your belly with your legs extended. Take a big breath in. And a big breath out. When you're ready, you might hug your knees into your chest. Maybe point or flex your toes or create some circles here. And then lowering the feet onto the floor. We'll press into the feet and shoulders to lift the hips and take the pillow or prop out from underneath. And then think about guiding that prop in between the thighs. And here we're going to roll onto our right side. Oh, once again, if you're watching the recording, you may get all the sounds, you may not, but my dog certainly startled me with some dreaming sounds. Let's bring your feet flat on the floor and roll onto our right side. So I'm going to lift my hips to roll onto the outer right edge of the hip and onto the right side with my right arm extended. Now, some people like to use the right arm as a pillow here for a moment. You can just keep it extended like so. We're going to keep our lower body this way, but do some funky things with the arms. So lift your left arm to the ceiling and now turn the back of the palm the same direction as your face and your palm away from you. And then we'll bend the elbow, bringing the back of the hand in between the shoulder blades or along the spine. Now, the higher up the hand is, the more sensation you're going to experience. The lower down the hand is, the less sensation you'll experience. Then from here, we peel the palm onto the mat, rolling that left shoulder back down towards the mat. This shape is commonly called a single angel wing. And with this bottom hand, you might enjoy a cactus position, bending at the elbow, having the elbow straight out from the shoulder and the back of the hand against the floor. So with the arms, we're working with the upper meridian lines. These upper meridian lines are believed to commonly affect the heart, lung, small and large intestine. Take a final breath in here and a final breath out. We'll begin by rolling back onto the right shoulder. And then once you're rolled onto the right side, you can start to extend that left arm up to the ceiling and lower it down once again. Just take a moment to notice the lingering effects of the twist of the arms and of the body. And we'll do it all again on the other side. Gently roll onto your back once again. And then scoot yourself onto your mat to a place where you can roll onto your left side. Extending your left arm, lifting your hips, rolling onto the outer left hip and onto your left side. Pausing here for a moment. And then extending your right arm up to the ceiling, bending at the elbow, and maybe guiding the back of the hand up in between the shoulder blades or anywhere along the spine. If you ever have sharpness, tingling, or numbness, you can always try lowering the hand, and if that sensation continues, you can come out of the shape. From here, we can roll back onto the right palm, allowing for the right shoulder to come back onto the mat, and then creating a cactus with the left arm. So bending at the elbow and allowing for the palm to rest on the mat. If your left hand is floating, you can bring a blanket or pillow underneath it. And then we'll breathe here. Allowing for your body to become heavy and relaxed with each and every breath. To let go of muscular tension and to allow yourself to sink in to the shape. Take a full breath in and a full breath out. Gently begin to roll back on to your left side. And then extend your right arm to the ceiling. Unravel the right arm. And just pause, noticing the lingering sensations here. And then making your way onto your back. Here I'd recommend that you bring a pillow underneath of your legs for your Shavasana, and perhaps cover up your body with a blanket. Make any and all adjustments to your shape. And then join me for some muscle relaxation. We begin by squeezing the muscles, so tensing the whole body, squeezing as hard as you can. Take an inhale, engage every muscle, your eyes, your jaw, your face, your toes. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Hold. Big exhale, let it go. We'll do that 2 more times. Full inhale. Squeeze the whole body as hard as you can. Every muscle, you got this. Hold, hold, and exhale, let it go. Last one, big inhale. Squeeze every muscle that you can. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Hold, hold, hold. Big exhale. Take a full breath in. And a full breath out. And allow yourself to soften. Take a big breath in. And a big sigh out. Gently begin to awaken your body once again with some gentle movement. Maybe rock your head side to side. If you'd like, you can take a little pencil stretch. And then slowly roll to one side. And press yourself all the way back up to seated. Ending our practice the way we began, in a seated position. Please join me in taking a breath in together and a big sigh out. You're welcome to guide your hands into a gesture of completion. It's been my pleasure and my honor to guide you through your practice. Namaste.